Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Johnson, your host of the Local Leaders Podcast, and we are super excited today to have a fellow Carolinian company on. We have got Vicious Biscuit, and we've got the owner, George McLaughlin, and we've got Mike Ball, Director of Operations here, and I just want to welcome you guys to the show, and thank you for taking time to join us.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. We appreciate it. You guys are the kings of my favorite meal, which is, or my favorite food, which is biscuits. You know, I grew up on biscuits. My mom made them homemade from scratch, and nobody can make them like Mama. But I guess you guys are really, really close, right?
Yeah, we've had to disappoint Mom a little bit by making better biscuits. I hate to tell you that, but
man,
we just won't say that because she's not on the show right now.
Exactly. And I can't wait for you to get down this way. And I know we're going to talk about, kind of the growth plans and things like that later on. But yeah, I have not had the opportunity to enjoy your food, but I am going to certainly make a point of it. And especially if you get here before I get there. So anyway, George, why don't you, if you don't mind, share a little bit about the business and kind of where it came from and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I mean, there's always been an allure for biscuits, and we always talk about how good Mom's biscuits are. And one day I was reading a newspaper article, actually a local newspaper here, and there was this raving review about a young guy, Michael Greeley, who's our business partner, who's started a company called the Vicious Biscuit Company, and had the most positive review I've seen in a while by a food critic. So we called him up one day and asked him what he was thinking about doing and how he wanted to grow the business. And he, started a catering company, wanted to eventually move to a food truck, and we got to try. So he invited me over to his house. We went to next morning. I was over at his house 8:30 in the morning. Met his family, his young children, and Michael had his 3 different biscuits out there, and he was cooking up his fried chicken and putting it all together for breakfast. And right then and there, I was like, wow, if we could replicate this and serve it quickly, this would be a huge success. And sure enough, it took us a year to put it all together and get all the testing and everything done. But once it was done and put together, we opened up in December of 2019. It was just immediately, I'm taking it back, December 2018, it immediately took off. Customers were raving about it. And it took off so well that I actually had to call up an old coworker of mine, Michael Ball. To come and look at this, man. I think this guy's onto something. He's created something that's really special and really good. And so Michael came down and looked at it. He called me about a month later after visiting a couple of times and said, "You know what, George, I think you're right. I haven't seen some people this crazy about a concept in a long time." And Michael Ball and I go way back. We've been in the industry for over 25 years, and it was really special to us. And so we've enjoyed working and growing the business with Michael Greeley. After being open for a year, we started working on our second location in Summerville, South Carolina, and COVID hit, and it didn't scare us. It just delayed us a little bit trying to get, equipment and everything. But sure enough, we opened it up in the middle of COVID of July of 2020, and it took off there as well. So we're excited about our growth and what we're doing. We're heading to Wilmington, North Carolina next, so we'll be closer to you, then next to Charlotte, then on to Boone, North Carolina, and then to Clemson, South Carolina. So we're excited about the growth and what we've been able to do and the culture we've been able to create.
That is that's awesome, and I tell you what, I'm sure Michael, when he came across it and people are raving about a concept like that, it's amazing. It gets you excited and kind of gets your blood pumping, and it sounds like you guys are rocking and rolling.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, what did you think, Michael, when you first came across it?
Man, it blew me away. George and I, like you said, had worked together for about a little over a decade for the previous concept, and he told me to go by and see it. And I mean, just the operation, it was very streamlined, very, the branding was awesome. And then we got the food, and I mean, it's comfort food at its finest. I took my family up there. They were blown away. Just the energy in the place was just infectious. And the guests, that just the smiles and everybody just leaning back and looking so comfortable and just happy with the food. It was a sight to see. And I honestly, I had not seen that kind of excitement in a concept in a long time. And it took a leap of faith, man. It was, I had a comfortable job I was happy with. I was excited to get to work with George again and create something new. And, here we are, a very quick 2 years later.
Yeah,
we're about to blow it up, hopefully.
Yeah, you're on the fast track. Now, are you guys, for your growth for these new locations that are coming up, Wilmington and so on, are these going to be franchised locations or company owned?
Well, they'll be company owned restaurants. I mean, one of the things that we wanted to make sure is we prove the model first. Going to Somerville and going into the strip center, our first location, we took over an old location. It used to be kind of a iconic location here called the Boulevard Diner. And it was a freestanding, small little 1,900 square foot building. Matter of fact, I think it was either a Denny's or a Hardee's 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
Dairy Queen.
That's right. We refurbished it, and it was a freestanding. Like I said, 1,900 square feet, only 30 parking spots. And we said, look, let's see if we can prove this out. Let's see if we can, pump out biscuits. Fork and knife, biscuits on a plate that in 6 to 8 minutes. And we did an amazing volume. And then we said, you know what, next proof of concept, we got to go to a really cool and diverse market like Somerville, and being a strip center that, kind of has limited parking, but, it's kind of a mix of all different types of tenants. And it immediately took off. And so now we're looking at Wilmington and as a kind of another beach community, but an area that we've had a lot of high requests to go to. And then Charlotte, we're going to a big city market. And then we're going right up to the mountains to Boone. That's going to be an interesting college town, which we like to call like a feeder store for us to find young, energetic entrepreneurs to help grow the brand. And then Clemson being right behind that kind of helps us find young leaders who want to, get out and do their own thing, create their own business. So that's kind of our business plan, to keep them all corporate stores and to grow it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love the dual strategy. When you mentioned Boone, and not only just to feed the hungry, that are there, but also to kind of start to feed the team building and leadership capability within the company. That's a great idea. Something that a lot of other entrepreneurs or restaurateurs probably ought to start thinking about, because staffing has definitely been a challenge, these days. And I'm curious as to how that's impacted you all, the ability to find and retain people, but also find new people. Has that been a big impact to you? And what are you doing differently to try to come out of that?
It definitely has been an impact. I mean, we felt that.
I mean, it's a big impact to us. I mean, Mike and his team. Sorry, you got a little delay there.
Yeah, you're good, man. Yeah, the whole country's feeling it. Every industry, particularly the restaurant industry. But we've been very intentional on staying ahead. We've overstaffed on leaders to make sure we, maintain a really hospitable environment for our team. We like to put our team first. We take great care of them, provide a really fun working environment. We stay approachable. We're constantly focused on leadership development. And, through all that, we've been able to stay ahead of the curve. We did face a tough time in March, as everybody did, for about 4 weeks. And we just really banded together. We used, Indeed, Facebook, all the normal outlets. And the biggest thing that I think where we succeeded is we did not bring in new hires that didn't fit our culture and our values, and that allowed us to retain all of the great people that we have brought on. And we're still doing great in both stores, staffing wise. We have our challenges here and there from a day-to-day basis, but overall the numbers, we've maintained a very healthy culture, and it's helped us thrive in this market.
And Jeff, I would add to that one of the reasons why I went to Mike after we were open for a year and I said, you got to come look at this concept, was he was really successful back in the day when we were running McAllister's Deli and growing that through South Carolina, that he did develop a culture that really, we hire within, and we raised our leaders up from cooks all the way up to front of staff to being management, general managers, and to regional managers. So Mike's done an unbelievable job of creating that culture that it's, we're really employee centric. And so we really focus on our employees and work. We have a very simple motto in our company. It's employees first, customers second. We take care of our employees, they're going to take care of our customers. We got a lot of customers. We can't know them all, and we can't talk to them all, but we can know all our employees, and we can work through them and empower them. And that's kind of helped us stay far more staffed than, a lot of my friends who are in other restaurants. And I got to give the success to Michael and his team and what they've been able to develop as a culture.
That's awesome, and very important for retaining people and giving them opportunity, because and actually your growth is going to stimulate that opportunity even more so, as you well know, and that's what people want. They want something that has some, especially the young folks out there. They want something with meaning. They want opportunity to be able to grow. Nobody wants to be stagnant and kind of sticking in that same role. Well, some people do, but not most of us, have that desire to get better, bigger, stronger.
Right.
And you guys are incorporating that and building it into your culture is kudos to you for doing that. Have you seen, or have your labor costs went up, along with kind of, I guess in the near term, has it been going up, or have you been able to keep it steady?
Well, I think we've always paid well from the beginning. And, with the volume that we do, we're able to pay very well to our staff. We haven't really seen our labor costs in general go up, simply because we've started from out at the beginning of paying well and treating them well. So, our biggest challenges are on the other side of the table with the distribution supply chain. It's probably our biggest challenge.
Yeah, and
I will tell you, just to piggyback on that, Jeff, is that we try not to hire people that money is their primary driver. I mean, obviously, money is important to everybody. We look for people that want to come find a home, people that want to grow within a company, people that see the growth potential that we have. That we want future leaders, like George was saying. We want young entrepreneurs that have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. I think that's where the rubber kind of meets the road with who you keep, because if you employ a whole team of people that money's their only primary driver, you're never going to make them happy, because they're always going to want more money.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
We try and balance it, between competitive pay, great work environment, and just caring for our team.
Well, and leadership is a big piece of that, because you got to get people bought in from day one. You're going after these great people that want to have that meaning and that feeling of being at home and being involved and engaged, and you guys have to present that. So you must be doing a great job at it to be able to attract these people, and that's a fantastic advantage for any business. You mentioned supply chain, so it's that's a problem across the industry as well. How are you guys managing it to try to be able to continue to feed the people and to keep your costs in line?
I'm gonna let Mike answer that, because I'm the one that just uses all the curse words, and he takes care of it. So
I had a feeling you might shift that one over to Mike.
I was gonna say, do you want the daily snapshot, the weekly snapshot, or the monthly snapshot? It is. I tell you, man, you literally couldn't write what's happening right now in the country. I know a lot of people kind of saw something like this coming. You've read reports and things like that, but the word unprecedented has gotten thrown around a lot in the last 2 years, and what we are experiencing now is definitively unprecedented. The challenges we're seeing on resin and plastics and equipment and staff, I mean, it's wild. And you can look at it two ways. You can complain about it and throw your hands up and give up, or you can claw, scratch, beg, borrow, steal to keep your business going and take care of your people. And so it's literally what we've done. Every day is a new challenge, and we've been very fortunate enough to bring on some great leaders that have helped navigate this for us on a daily basis. Communication is key. We have some great partners, vendors right now that are helping communicate needs, shortages, I mean, we source anything and everything. We go to Webstaurant, Amazon, local chef store. I mean, wherever we can get it, we make it happen. We've had to, unfortunately, temporarily part ways with, a menu item here or there. But overall, we've had the bandwidth to be able to navigate a lot of the gaps consistently through this process. We don't have a great insight as to when the light at the end of the tunnel is going to show itself. But
that was my next question. You took it right out of my mouth.
I'm hoping once we get through this fall and holiday season in January, we should start seeing some traction come back our way. I think a lot of it's going to depend on what the specific ingredients are, whether it's plastic or seafood or protein. And pricing is going to have a lot to do with it too. I mean, there's a lot of intangibles, obviously, and variables that go along with that. And battling the potential inflation that's coming is something that we're having to navigate too with pricing. Are we going to follow the trends and take a huge price increase on this aspect of the menu or not? And so we're trying to balance it all. We want to make sure that we keep, we're not going to sacrifice quality no matter what. We'd rather not offer the item than offer a subpar item. And B, we're not going to price gouge. We want to keep it affordable. And value is the number one thing that we have to look at, because at the end of the day, the dollar right now is becoming more important to each and every person in this country. And so people are going to start being a lot more picky with where they choose to spend their dollars based on the value they receive. And so, again, that comes down to staffing in your team. Are you providing a great experience? Does your food taste great? And do you have the food available?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no doubt. It's got to have availability first. And, it all goes together, as you said, and it's been definitely unprecedented. And a challenge for all of our listeners as well, who are operating establishments and trying to keep trying to make that decision of how long do I carry this extra cost, before I have to pass it, and what creative ways can I, where can I find a 0.5%? And
right.
One of the gentlemen I was talking to earlier today was talking about that. He's like, well, if you go find 10 0.25% reductions other places, then you start making progress. And I thought that was,
and that's what we're doing now. Yes,
yeah.
sir. Yeah, we're looking at some new vendors and partners, and really nothing's off the table. And that's, in moments like these, you have to turn a negative into a positive. You got to find the silver lining. And so we look at it as, okay, it's a new challenge. It's just going to help us grow. We're going to learn from it, and we're going to get better.
Yep.
And because you can only control what you control. And so as we navigate through this, we're going to learn a lot as a team and an organization. That way, when it's over and we've been able to hopefully put it behind us, we're going to just be off to the races and just continue to get better in a different aspect of the business.
Yeah. Are you guys, just for our audience, our listeners, are you guys a dine-in in addition to takeout, or is it?
Yeah, we're mostly what we like to call ourselves a quick casual concept, where you come in, order at the counter, be a part of the experience. You sit down, we take care of the rest. We're mostly when we first got in this business when we were looking at kind of the breakfast brunch kind of business, I was like, we're not going to do much takeout. And sure, I was wrong. And we went from about a 15 to 18% takeout to 30 to 32% takeout now, and which was crazy to me, but our food travels very well. So, but mostly dine-in. We're about the experience. I mean, and that's what we've said for the last 30 years of being in this industry, is like, we're not in the restaurant business. We're in the entertainment business. And if you forget that, then you've really lost it. You might as well become a vending machine. So we really try to harp on our employees that our customers are coming here for an experience. They're not just coming here because our food's great. They want to be treated well, and they gotta, it's got to be a cool vibe, and it's got to be a cool experience. So that's really what's been important to us.
Yeah, that is something that in the more successful restaurants that we've talked to, experiences, or creating an experiential opportunity for guests is really the key, I think, to making successful companies like Vicious Biscuit.
Yeah.
And one owner in particular, I don't know where his background was, but he attributed everything to like a Broadway show. It's like, this is our stage, and these are the actors, our servers are the actors and the actresses,
Right.
but he was right. I mean, it was, they were putting on a production every shift, right? It's that mentality, and when you can drive that whole culture, that way of doing business out to your people, and it really shows off with your customers, and makes it special, because there's a lot of choices out there, and we've got to be different and good.
Yeah, you got to constantly reinvent yourself every day.
Yeah.
The restaurant business is one that is so uniquely monotonous and yet wildly different every day because of the human factor, the people. Everybody's different every day, and so you just got to constantly reinvent yourself, reinvent your team, keep it fun, keep the atmosphere going, engage your guests. Engagement is everything, and it's a great vibe. George and Michael did a phenomenal job setting up this business model, and it's a fun experience, not just for the guests but for us too. I mean, we get to hang out with people that are really excited about the product we offer, and so that's the fun thing. You don't always get that in the restaurant world, so we're going to take it, and we're going to keep doing it as long as we can.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, George, I want to ask you I want to talk about leadership for a second, if you don't mind, because you've been in the business a lot. Well, both of you guys have been in the business a long while, and I'd love to hear from you both. But I'm curious as to, over the years, kind of how have you had to change as a leader to adapt and kind of stay in touch with the way things are today?
It's a good question, because I thought about that when I was, just kind of looking at one of your questions earlier on, and really the leadership hasn't changed. It changed as much as I thought that what we did 30 years ago. We've always been employee centric. You work through your employees. And one of the things that I learned a long time ago is if we just manage by numbers, then we'll just manage ourselves right in the ground. So we really try to stay focused on managing through our employees. Has it changed over the last 30 years? It's gotten a little bit tougher. And that is, I think that early on, when we were really employee centric, that's become more prevalent now than ever before. And so we were, I kind of brag a little bit that we've been a little bit ahead of the game by working straight through our employees. And, we know that sales cure all woes. So as long as we can keep that entertainment and keep those sales up and keep increasing, a lot of things take care of themselves. So we're able to take care of our employees by that aspect and that mentality. The other thing about our leadership that we really try to push very hard is we don't want the employee doing the same job over and over. We really want to cross-train. We really want employees not to feel like they get stuck in a rut. When we interview a manager or we interview an employee that's looking to be in the management, we always say to us, if you give us 2 great years and you come to us after 2 great years and say, I understand the business, I got it, I learned it, I want to be my own boss, my own owner, we're going to back them 100%. We're going to do whatever we can to create their own job. And that's how we grew, our chain a long time ago. And this is how we're going to grow this one. And again, I don't think leadership has changed as much as everybody wants it to change. Other than the fact is we've always believed that it's employees first, customer second. And so we've been able to adapt to the times. But I think that it's always been a great focus of ours and a belief of ours that's made us successful.
Well said. Well said. How about you, Michael? Have you had to change as kind of your strategy, your tactics, your leadership style over the years?
I mean, leadership is a constant evolution, no matter what, because you have to adapt. If you don't adapt, you die. I mean, it's that simple. You will get left behind. And I can validate everything George is saying because I'm a prime example. I came on with George with our previous concept when I was 21 years old. I hired up as a sandwich maker, and I grew through that franchise up to a regional manager. And that was such a unique opportunity to get to learn all of these great things and all of these different leadership styles. And just to have somebody like that, George was the guy that actually created the passion that I have today for the restaurant world. And, through my years in this business, from an operating partner to all these different functions in this industry, I even had a great 4-year stint with Chick-fil-A where I got to learn a ton about leadership from a like podcast and leadership book style. And so
Mhm.
we're incorporating a little bit of what I learned there into our leaders today. We do podcasts and leadership books and focus on more one-on-one development. And that's for like second and third tier leaders, you know, your business leaders and things like that. But we're mostly trying to teach them the overall arching, you know, benefit of that is just you learn how to take care of your team. Like George said, it's your people first, customer second, and all of that goes into it. And so we're just constantly trying to reinvent ourselves and continue to learn and grow and focus on not only just team growth, but self-growth. And just staying humble and understanding that we have something to learn from every person we come in contact with.
Well, it's a great story, and it sounds like such a great place to work. You know, who doesn't want to be involved in a company? If you've got to work, you want to be involved in a company like Vicious Biscuit that has such great opportunity for growth, both personally and in your income, as well as, you know, offers a fun place to work, right? And the opportunity to work with great entrepreneurs like yourselves who have who developed this concept and really grown it. What's kind of I know you've got a short-term plan with the next 4 or 5 locations kind of planned out. National, have we scoped that out yet? Kind of where we're going or where you want to get to?
I mean, listen, Mike gets all the emails. I get the emails. We gotta be able to learn to you know, walk before we run. Our thing is we know that we need to stay and grow amongst our teams in a region that makes sense for us. We could be in California tomorrow, Washington State, New York. We get all the requests. It's a great honor. But no, I think once we go through these next 4 locations, then we'll be able to build the teams and be able to find the young, hungry, whether they're young or old, it doesn't matter. Just the hungry, energetic entrepreneurs that say, you know what, I want my own Vicious Biscuit. And that's how we believe we should really grow a strong concept and franchise. We're already looking at franchising, but I think we want to find, you know, energetic and hungry entrepreneurs that want to keep the passion.
George,
I think we lost you, George.
And protect the brand. So.
Yeah, we lost about 10 seconds of that.
Oh,
so I
no.
apologize. No, it's okay. Your internet popped out for just a second, but thank you for sharing that. And you're absolutely right. These next 4 are going to be a super learning experience, you know, for you guys, because I mean that's a big jump. You know, you're 2 today and you're 6 right down the road.
Right. Well, we've done it before, so you know, they were a little bit closer as we stayed mostly in South Carolina. But we feel good about it, and you know, Mike's already trains a lot of great leaders to help us do that and give them the confidence to kind of get away from the nest of Charleston a little bit farther out and know that we can count on them and then for them to keep developing the culture that we've established and keep growing it. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about it too. Like I said, I can't wait to get up this way. And Boone's not very far from me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just when we head to the mountains, that's the area we're heading toward typically. And winter's coming, so it's always a good time, and you know, up in the mountains. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think you guys have done a great job of kind of sharing your vision, kind of what you're doing, how you're building leaders, how you're handling the staffing challenges and things like that as we go forward. And I think just to kind of wrap it up, I'd love to hear from each of you. Maybe if you had 1 or 2 key words of advice for some of our listeners who, you know, maybe in that kind of stuck mode. There's so many independent restaurants out there that they have the one location, you know, and it's been there for 10 years or however long, and it's pretty flat. It's successful but flat. How do you what would you advise them to do if they wanted to step it up a notch and try to grow? When is it right to move forward? And that's an open-ended kind of tough question, I know, but
I think through friends that I've been in that I know in the industry that have been in that position, I guess the best advice I give them is take a step back and remember why you started it in the first place. And if you can remember that passion you had when you first started, how do you reinvent it if you can't recreate it, right? And That's the first thing you should do. And then talk to your staff and say, what do you see exciting about this concept and what can we do better? And you're always improving. You're never just great. You know, we always say it's something we learned from Chick-fil-A back in it was an article written back in 1995 of why they got out of the malls and started to go into freestanding. They always said to themselves, hey, we can always get better. So for anybody that's stuck in that rut and been there for 10 years, how do you reinvent the excitement that you first got into this industry for? And that's the best advice I could give them, is just go back to the first step and start there, and then you'll see it again. You'll gain that passion again.
Very nice. Thank you. Michael?
I would just say, maybe from an operational perspective, is you just have to stay humble and really realize, do you know your team? You know, if you're not constantly coaching and not constantly involved with your team, whether it's your senior leaders, whether it's your cooks, your front of the house employees, it doesn't matter. If you don't know your team, you can't grow your team. And so I don't remember, I'm not a wise guy. I've been very fortunate to have some great mentors through my path. And so I think maybe Pat Lynchian, I'm not sure, but it's a great leaders never get tired of reminding their team what matters. And so if you're not constantly just getting your team to buy into what you're doing, you're never going to grow. And so if you're not focused on your personal growth, and more importantly, on your team's growth, you're going to stay in that rut. Your people have got to always come first. And if you're not doing that, that's what's holding you back, you know. And then, like George said, you got to figure out if it's what you got in the business to do. If you really want to grow, then grow and go through it by whatever means necessary. But if you just want to be great doing one store, then be great at doing that one store.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that
No, not at all.
That whole, and I didn't mean to make it, you know, appear to all our listeners out there with the one location. And in many cases, that's where they want to be, and they've gotten to their level of success, and they're content and happy, and they have that quality of life, you know, that they've been able to create, which is, you know, a whole nother conversation point that we could have gotten into. How in the world do you balance building a successful business like Vicious Biscuit and also having a life outside of it? But we'll save that for the next round. Yeah, especially in the growth mode you guys are in, you may be off a little bit on the scales going forward.
It's got to be one of your top priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to you guys both, I want to say thank you for being on our show today and sharing your thoughts, your experiences, your story, your knowledge, your wisdom. You guys have been doing it together for some time. George has been doing it longer than dirt. Some people say. I'm just kidding, George.
I feel it.
I'm sure you do sometimes. I can't say a word because I'm right there with you. But thank you guys for taking time to come on and share, you know, your thoughts with us today. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and for all of our listeners, again, it's Vicious Biscuit. They are expanding and growing. We've got locations coming over toward North Carolina. I've been around since December 2018, and soon to be in Wilmington, in Charlotte, and up in the mountains. I just forgot. I wanted to say Elon, but that's not the right place.
Boone.
Thank you. I went blank, and I've been there 100 times. So growing from South Carolina down toward North Carolina, if you haven't been in to enjoy those wonderful concoctions, those biscuits that they're making over there, go find one of their stores and definitely try it. If you haven't been back in a while, return. You know, they'd love to see you come in the doors again and enjoy a meal with you. So for all our listeners, thank you again for joining us for another episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson, and we'll see you next time. And thank you again, guys.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.